In Buddhist tradition, Beyul is a land, a valley in the Himalayas hidden by the Padmasmbhava for his followers.
Beyuls이 아주 어레스는 당분에 어레 다스 찜불라 바니족이 율리스이나라.
Beyul city khali maxin sumbadi shur sama shurjun simida gangbo nasadi tar Tibet la di urkin rumburje thangbo ro ti urkin rumburje gi bala to khu lungbaji dasa ji orenang maxin sumbaji gi asar pare mi gi dasa ji zoni wa etman ti dasa tela Beyul si
A Beyul is a set of beliefs that connects people to an entire landscape. It allows people to manage resources and to manage their own actions within that landscape.
Beyul di Himalaya ki lungba di mangche Beyul kharjan za dama tanda nangba sangje bigi shodi nangbigi nangba sirdu rong semji ki nasam tongje ki cho so sheshoge Beyul rangi semji ki nasam tanguge de la Beyul sini izate jane.
Different people may describe Beyul slightly differently, but literally Beyul means the hidden valleys. These are places that are spiritually very sacred to the resident and respected by the people as a place that is very powerful and that can provide them with peace and sustenance. It's believed that these valleys were hidden by Padmasmbhava, who is the Buddhist saint who is responsible for introducing Buddhism in the Himalayas. And he hid these Beyuls, or the many hidden valleys in the Himalayas, so that it can be discovered in the future by his followers.
Beyul skerdi Gururimboshi Sinilabi Saja Beshapai Barsona Ti Sagul Tele Dupi Mitizo Tama Kuzok Sumbo Kele Geri Yimba Dijile de Kele Geri Yimba Mina Shandana Shim Dupa Simbo Mepa Rangshinji Sangbo Yimba Ti Nane Chang Di Khumbu Dila Mane Ta Parla Guru Rinpoche Tuje Chilap Nyaksik Le Tene Mati Guru Rinpoche Chene Yupi Sholu Teda Cha Tenda Tola Makaldo
There are many Beyuls in different Himalayan countries, such as the southwest China, northeast India, Bhutan, Sikkim, Nepal, northern India, and possibly Pakistan. Khumbu is a valley located at the base of Mount Everest. Is one such Beyul discovered by the ancestors of the Sherpa people. We believe that our ancestors came to Khumbu many hundreds of years ago and settled there because the place was peaceful and secure.
tanda di burkyok tila oto tila neza khokpu tina anikal di shidimi di myangbu kya tama di maksing da tu oresna chigla chigi man mutab ta maksing khokpu di nangdala myangbu kya tama di nangla oto midi changchuk semji kya jiwa ngosa ji kya cham nyingje ji kya tama laga hirula nyingjuk chigla chigi chuan saad nasam di metala dadabi laga amgana kya sima wodo khasama thanda sala de lungbadala orsan gyar lichi dune kham mekesna thanda sala mukti anigaldi mashurudi chagin ji kya thama ne khokbudi mengbudi kya chani tigi cheparti thanda di orsa di beyundala orsa tigi chelabi thuri orsa ni khol
단지 당라 조치도 초진나 섬동 거죠. 다만 초디 만년불라지게 우리는 부지게 반이 저라지 베이 쇼프티 인자.
Beyul actually has got a very strong influence on the people's culture. Because people who live inside the Beyul, if they are Buddhist, they believe that there are certain things that you have to observe. Beyul is a special area where you have to behave in a certain way. Basically, for example, not taking life, not killing animals, or hunting wildlife, and so forth. So there is quite a number of code of conducts that makes the Beyul very special area. Khumbu is declared as a national park by the government of Nepal and also listed in the UNESCO World Heritage Site because of its unique natural beauty, cultural integrity, and the biological diversity. I got interested in the Beyul concept because, it's first of all, it's a part of our heritage. It's part of our tradition of the Sherpa people. Secondly, I was working in the field of conservation, particularly working with national parks. And if you look at the national park and conservation work, historically it was driven by rules and regulations and enforcement of laws. Now that we are realizing we have to capitalize on people's culture, people's belief system, and all those human side of the things in order to get stronger support from the local people. Because without the support of the people who live inside the national park and around the national park, the enforcement of rules and regulation alone is not sufficient to protect all the species and valuable endangered species that we have. So that's how I got interested in Beyul, because Beyul has a lot to offer to conservation. And this concept has to be recognized and revitalized. Okay, great. Now this is the key to the western gate of the Beyul Kempalung. Throughout the Himalayas, especially on the southern slopes, there are many Beyuls. It's believed that many of the Beyuls are already discovered and settled by people, and also it's believed that there are some still awaiting discovery. So when the Beyuls are discovered, first the Tirthans, the treasure discoverers, has to find a guidebook with the Beyuls. And these treasures, hidden treasures or the guidebooks, will contain important clues to the way into the Beyuls. For example, this rock is the key to the western gate of the Beyul Kempalung, which lies beyond these mountain ranges.
Tama mo nani thangba mi chungmi zo to ko je mi lewa je de na kana to kane thewa chungmal ha kalu in lo thama the ko da girpura girbuji no lo thama ko da dina ko la chotar ni kha khang so ba sap chi tang men dok tang tam ni le mra le mo no lo thama sap chi tang men dok tam ni le mo chung thong ko in lo thama thong ni thama thewa aji ma chi ko la ni dan la she to sini dan ta ni ngo sini dilola chungmal hap je urtuk suru je ngo za the urtuk ti rani jawi lo thama ai chi ko la mi ke dang ho ni ya to sina ma the urtuk trang the do ti khala da chung go is no.
Beyuls are sacred land. It's a very big valley. Whole valley is considered sacred, and within that valley there are sacred sites. There may be sacred trees, there are sacred hills, there are sacred rivers. But if you could go into a Beyul which is already sacred and do your meditation and do your prayers there, it brings much more merit than doing it somewhere else.
미르가티 루샤브로데 나중을 차쇼도 루샤브로 나중 말에 루샤브로데 당분간에 다리 샤르바랑이 루샤브로지 밀예비 루샤브로 말에 랑고 땅닥지 루샤브로 뭐네 장내지래 대세나 게전 강도스나 샤비 루샤브로 샤비타 살루텔 유라시닥 상마 가도 유라시닥 가소나 샤바를 흐름접 잡으로 뿌로 침보도 유라시도 시탈소나 셜발 띠라 오케오.
This forest is located right in front of the Tangpoje monastery, and on the top of this forest lies the Lhamo, the female protected deity of the monastery. So the trees that are on this hill are protected as a home of the deity. It's important to have this kind of protected forest because due to the respect from the people for the deity, this forest is not disturbed. Trees are not cut. It is left in their natural conditions. So sometimes these forests are very useful as a special wildlife habitat, and also for us to find out if the forest is left alone without disturbance, how it might develop.
Lochila lama sanga dosi utra todni di shupi dombodi do chevare se lakeware shupi dombodi cheva yinam kawai nata dombo chimbo mangbo lo hatar gali dombo tinda mangbo yore te sharbi sangje kal yenga ibada angi lama sanga dosi utra ibala chashani sikjamba sedwa kuzo kailandwa lerde kailandwa te khangbe yamde chembore kuzokta lerde lama khay malana tizu chu thupta shukuri chena thapsi je shupi to busik cha lugu mare
de alami yo thai serkim tangne chopa shamne de yo angsam je khangbi thai serkim tangne mo tenma jude ta de na ta kong sing tu song se se mo ora na cha gi lamsmo ru na cha gi se ne 하나님 지워대 대시게 다 등삼이 미망갈서 말에 사를 용하면 이나마 뭐 자선을 하는데 내고 이디 딱바 싹바 잘해야 돼. 착송 율리 야로 원다 육내신 열로 섬서 율리에 까부도.
Beyuls in many other regions of the Himalayas are also integrated into protected areas, because generally people who live inside the Beyuls are Buddhist and they are much more sympathetic to cause of conservation. Secondly, Beyuls, when they are set aside as a protected area, then there is a very good opportunity to integrate the Buddhism and conservation, which makes the whole environmental conservation much more powerful, because the Buddhist teaching of compassion to all sentient beings, for example, directly supports the concept of the biological diversity conservation.
अहिलेसम्म हाम्रो चाहिँ कार्यालयमा भएको तथ्याङ्कको आधारमा स्थानीय बासिन्दाहरू शिकार गरेर पक्राउ परेको हामीसँग रेकर्ड छैन र जुन मान्छेहरू बाह्य रूपमा आउने यहाँ आएका छन् अस्थायी रूपमा बसोबास गर्ने र अझ भन्दाखेरिमा चाहिँ पर्यटकसँग भरियाको रूपमा आउने पोर्टहरू नै अहिले मुख्य रूपमा शिकारीको रूपमा हामीले पक्राउ गरेका छन् कारबाही गरेका छौं
तमदि लादिने थांबो कोमला इसी ट्याङबुजे एरिया दिला ला मांसो जिवे थावदिसन लादिला ट्रोमोलंबे तम यामा ड्रॉप दिसन म थावदिगे केजगुइ सिनि theo यामा ड्रॉप मिदिसन लादिला ट्रोमोलंबे लादि मामु थंगुबे थाथासनबला तमतादि लादि सेदु मिदि खनमो हो न लादि गांबु सेनिगलनि ति लादि अचे तोरनि था लादि नुवा गलनो लादि मो तम ओरलुबे मिगि सिरमेस ओरलुबे मिगे मेसेदि ओरलुबे मिया दि सेशियो मिमे
The National Park system or the National Parks authorities actually have failed right at the beginning to realize that this Beyul concept can be a very strong ally to the park's objectives. So they actually, if you see their management plans of all the national parks everywhere, you will find very little reference to the Beyul concept.
हामीले निकुञ्ज व्यवस्थापन गर्दाखेरिमा जसरी पहिला यहाँको स्थानीय बासिन्दाहरूले जुन रूपमा वनको व्यवस्थापन गर्दै आउनु भएको थियो उहाँहरूको जुन संस्कृतिले नावा प्रथाद्वारा जुन चाहिँ उहाँहरूले यहाँ चलन चल्तीमा ल्याइरहनु भएको थियो हामीले अहिले हाम्रो चाहिँ नियमावलीमा पनि त्यसलाई समावेश गरेर त्यही अनुसार जानुपर्छ भनेर हामीले हाम्रो नीतिमा समावेश गर्नतर्फ चाहिँ हामी अग्रसर भइरहेका छौँ
अहिलेसम्म भइसकेको छैन
मलाई लाग्छ अहिलेसम्म नीतिगत रूपमा कानुनी रूपमा त्यसलाई चाहिँ समावेश गरिएको छैन तर व्यवहारमा चाहिँ त्यो काम भएको छ
थाको कई नाजोजी शे पजु सिम्बो सुनि रंग ताजु ता रंग कई तामादे तो जुडोर ते बेयु गेजे थामा फाजे तो छरेवा
Present status of Beyul, it's only understood and remembered and known by the spiritual leaders, the lamas, and the older generation. The idea of Beyul, the concept of Beyul, has more or less disappeared in many places because the younger generation is not exposed to these ideas in history anymore. Khumbu Beyul is the Shayota.
도장하라 강은 시그러야죠. 시그러야.
यहाँलाई बेयुल भने के हो थाहा छ?
थाहा छैन.
बेयुल भन्ने त मैले सुनिने छ.
Ngala Beyuls di chelme.
तपाईलाई बेयुल भने थाहा छ?
बेयुल भन्ने थाहा छैन.
थाहा छैन. ल ठीक छ. धन्यवाद.
What I found was that almost every 10-year age group among the Sherpas know less about the Beyul idea. And this includes all the components of the Beyul, the taboo against hunting and killing, the cutting of dead wood rather than live wood, the belief in the Lu, for example. Those beliefs are going by generation through development in the form of education and development in the form of having non-subsistence-based livelihood, so not farming, not herding, and doing more business. I found the beliefs to be definitely decreasing.
वैदेशिक पर्यटकहरूको सङ्ख्यामा जुन खालले वृद्धि भइरहेको छ त्यसबाट हुने जुन अप्रत्यक्ष र प्रत्यक्ष असरहरू अहिले हामीले मुख्य चुनौतीको रूपमा लिएका छौँ. नम्बर 1 मा जुन चाहिँ नि हाम्रो यहाँको जैविक विविधता संरक्षणसँग प्रत्यक्ष रूपमा गाँसिएको छ. त्यस्तै गरिकन यहाँ टुरिस्टहरूसँग आउने भरियाहरू पोर्टरहरू हुन्, उनीहरूले वन्यजन्तुको तथा यदाकदा शिकार गर्ने गरेका छन्. र अर्को चाहिँ नि अब हामी कहाँ यहाँ चाहिँ नि नयाँ स्पेसिस हिउँ चितुवाको यस क्षेत्रमा जब देखिन थाल्यो त्यसले त्यसका चाहिँ नि आहारजन्य प्रजातिहरूमा पारेको असर एउटा चाहिँ त्यो मुख्य चुनौती हुनसक्छ. त्यस्तै गरिकन अब क्लाइमेट चेन्जले भविष्यमा न्यूनताउने जुन सम्भावनाहरू छन्, जस्तै हिमतालहरू फुट्ने, हिउँ पग्लने र हाम्रा वनस्पतिहरू वन्यजन्तुहरूको चाहिँ नि वासस्थानमा आउन सक्ने असरहरू यी पनि अब अहिले चुनौतीको रूपमा देखिएका छन्.
One of the main reasons behind the declining Beyul concept in our community is because of our inability to transmit the knowledge to the younger generations. The concept is not taught in school. The concept is not even discussed in the community in day-to-day basis. Another factor is that Beyul is a concept that belongs to a minority cultural groups. So when these minority cultural groups come in contact with the dominant cultural groups, then the minority cultural group generally loses out. Therefore, the Beyul concept is disappearing.
Beyul gezer simbo yimba ha koi mare. Kangsini koi mare sina rangla sosi lopcha kang lokyo ti nawa te mato tedi nawa di simbo shantuk mare.
हावा एकै प्रकारले बनेको हुँदैन हैन, विभिन्न ग्यासहरू जस्तै अक्सिजन, कार्बन डाइअक्साइडहरूले बनेको हुन्छ है. अनि ल यो प्रयोग एकको पर्दा
अब हामीले अहिलेसम्म सरसर्ती हेर्दा चाहिँ के देख्छौँ भने यो बच्चाहरूले कति बच्चाहरू त अब यो अहिलेको भनौँ न बाहिरबाट अलिक है अब उँधोको मान्छेहरू आउने अनि हाम्रो पाठ्य पुस्तकमा पनि नि पढाउने भनौँ माध्यम भनेकै नेपाली भाषा र अङ्ग्रेजी मात्रै भएको हुनाले अलिकति यहाँको भाषा मसिनो केटाकेटीहरूले घरमा राम्रो भाषाको बोलचाल भएन भने त भाषै बिर्सिने चाहिँ धेरै सम्भावना देख्यौँ.
Satuzu maduna lopta kala shabi kayichi matori kongdo yopachi tonna ya longtu bakala kapore dige
ka nga cha nya ta na
각 세쇼데 다 릭슝디 모터디 고지노 타마 릭슝디 가르기 나섬데랑 탄다 릭슝기 나섬디랑 자네 담데 어울학발랑 얘기 강송게 탄다 어울학발당 전에 살발 중고들랑 샤르비기 딕셔너리엔 랍셰치 고딩 샤르왈라 릭슝 모터시 샤르비 릭슝 토송세세 샤르와 하시두롱 톤디비
people, the indigenous people who live inside the national parks and around the national park, have a huge influence on the conservation status of the national parks. Whether the conservation will be successful, whether laws and regulations and of the park will be, whether they will be taken seriously or not, it all depends on the attitude of the people. So it's very important that people are on board. And we cannot bring the people on board purely on the basis of science or policies or regulations. You have to link these conservation objectives into the people's belief systems and people's way of life. So basically, if the Beyul, promoting Beyul is a way of achieving that, you can really get the support of the local people.
다 디카루 리다 삼바 탐젤 숭종 첨보 제거도 강한 제급이 자와데 칼라투도 시나 디사 릴루 텔레네비 주도 리다 카드라이나 텔레 앙자 요빠지 이버서나 디가지 툭툭다니 코추마 주도지 나도 미상 쇼카이 쇼지 콜렌뉴스테이션나 밀리토비 곰마제도 미상보티 주도 추마 국반나시텔레 숭좀 세툼나에 오타테 미레 포레 텔레냐디오 툭세 땅소니 리다데 메파세 리라보당 라와당 오 강이 나르나 대도 숭좀 첨보 백 네발트 제거베도 추기 나나 숭좀 제거베 께서 테러 랍샤도
조디 레무지 포레시 투인세 오타마 강송게 나딜람페 엔도 강소 디다 울랑비기 벨라랑 포디지밀라기 강송게 셈 코체세 지즈밀라기 구르기 나나 셈 코체세 리다요 지즈밀라기 리다이 방리 노레도요 지즈밀라기 다위선 바행자인 탁부도요 지즈밀라기 인세디 지즈밀라 투 코체니 셈 코체니 오타마 통랑게 공바딘 티시문에 와자
파르스음젤레는 맞잡나 랑기 줄레 샵닝제요나 주조 리다 추마 미 참마탐제 랑레 셈 가보체네 숭줍체도 파르르 켈 툼테짤라지다 오티 쇼라 랑라야 뉴스 심보지 옹타쇼 옹도
라 쪼데라고 라 조디로 고유비 조디 람니 조디 시에니 조지 돈도다고 송스지 오타만 다고라 조디 수렉사 모토데 기투기 타마 조지 돈도 하마고선도마 라지 동생 라지디 못해니 지기루 벌리 미디게 마동아 기세니 대야 요지디 수렉사 기루 미게가 고마자 잔단다 닥닥위 라가딜라 닥닥위 비간 가레자고 인디디 하마고 마시스마도마 디디기 셈지기 돌바잖아요. 좌우디기 인다마 강자서나 되게 처지기 쉽지 하고 있으니 레모기
Future of Beyul, if we do nothing, it's going to disappear. But we have to make sure that that doesn't happen, because Beyul concept is not only important for conservation, but it is also important for maintaining harmonious relationship between people and the other beings. To preserve the tradition of the Beyul, it is important to raise awareness and understanding about both the spiritual as well as physical dimension of the Beyul. Unless its spiritual values are upheld, Beyul will become any other land that will be exploited and abused, and it will no longer be able to serve as the sanctuaries for natural ecosystem and human spirit.